The Fanciful Prince.
Blasphemy! How dare you speak such vile falsehoods?
No, but it is true. He is not of...
Guards! Off with his head!
Wait. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Peter who was raised by his aunt and uncle. His parents were killed by barbarians during an ambush in their poor village near the kingdom. Peter was only an infant at the time and was almost burned to death during the attack. Luckily, a neighbor saved him, and Peter only suffered a burn in his left buttock that has a scar to this day. His auntie and uncle raised him as best as they could, given the circumstances. Peter grew up a common village boy with no particularly special skill or strength, but he was always haunted for being an orphan. Kids would brutally taunt him about his ancestry.
Peter, was your papa a dung carrier? Your mom must have been a swine. You are a son of a bastard.
Peter would run home crying to his aunt and uncle. Who was my mom? What kind of man was my papa? Was I a son of a bastard? At first they had trouble answering him, but his uncle finally told him, Your parents were from royalty and beloved to all before they were murdered. The world won't believe you, but it is your life mission to prove that you are of royal blood. But how do I prove that? The how is you. From that point on, Peter believed he was born from royalty and relentlessly sought to prove it mentally and physically. During that time, the kingdom was frequently attacked by neighboring barbarians, so there was a military focus in school and sports. Peter studied intensively in war strategies and became an expert in drafting attack plans. Physically, Peter became a master in the art of fighting, with weapons or with just bare hands. Soon, his excellence caught the eye of a general in the royal army. The general entrusted him and a small army to protect the princess, who was traveling back to the palace. The day came to protect the princess, as a royal carriage was rolling back to the castle. During the journey, Peter was constantly scanning for barbarians in the mountainous landscape that was surrounded by tall forest trees. Suddenly, a huge battering ram swung from the tall trees, narrowly missing the royal carriage, but killing half of Peter's soldiers. Instinctively, Peter jumped into action, relying on his superior training skills to protect the princess. A swarm of barbarians quickly surrounded them, and there was nowhere to run. Peter quickly turned to the visibly worried princess.
Your Royal Highness, fear not. I promise you no harm will be done to you on this day.
Peter kept his promise. He fought valiantly with his depleted army to stop the barbarians from kidnapping the princess. When they finally arrived at the castle, the king and his entire royal court were anxiously waiting at the castle gate. The princess told them all that happened, and the king was so grateful to Peter for saving his daughter that he immediately appointed him to be a high-ranking commander of the royal army. Peter also told the king about his royal bloodline, as told by his auntie and uncle. None of the royal family could recall Peter's parents, but with the euphoria of him saving the princess and defeating the barbarians, the royal family took his word for it. With the princess already in love with Peter, they married and started a family soon after. The king also announced that Peter was now to be addressed as a prince. Peter's goal was fulfilled, as he had proven his royal bloodline and was now also officially recognized as a prince. One day, a peasant-looking old man wanted to see Peter, with a basket of fresh red tomatoes as an offering. With Peter's high status in the kingdom, the imperial guards would not ordinarily allow a peasant in his presence. But once this old man said that he was a friend of Peter's parents, he was summoned to the royal chamber to see Peter.
My dear old man, you say you know my parents?
Yes, they were my neighbors.
Neighbors? You are also of royal descent?
No, I am but a poor farmer. Just like your father and mother were. They—
Blasphemy!
Screamed the royal servant to the old man.
How dare you speak such vile falsehoods? Prince Peter is of royal blood, not from some poor peasants.
No, but it is true. He is not of—
Guards, off with his head!
Peter was expectedly both shocked and angry at this revelation. For all his life, he believed that he was of royal blood, believing in it so much that he trained and studied so intensely to get to his position today. As the peasant was violently dragged to the dark dungeon with an awaiting guillotine, his red tomatoes were stomped and smashed, leaving a trail of what looked like blood. Finally, he screamed to Peter, "I am not lying! You have a burn scar in your left buttock!"
Wait, bring him back.
Peter ordered to bring the old man back. Only a few knew about his scar, so this old man was spitting the truth. The old man proceeded to tell the truth about his parents and their peasant ancestry, how they were very poor but beloved in the village before it had been burned down. At any point, Peter could have had this old man executed, and not a word of this would have traveled. However, he realized that these words were actually a blessing. The guards quickly let go of the old man and gently brought him back to the royal chamber.
My dear old man, thank you. Henceforth, I shall proudly embrace my ancestry. True, I was not born of royal blood, but look at what I've become and accomplished, simply by believing that I was. Thou have reminded me of how powerful the mind can be. I will pass this message to my children, that it doesn't matter where you came from. It matters where you go from there.
My relation to this story is a lot less dramatic, but I remember that growing up, my dad constantly told me that I was smart, that I could do it. He used to love calling me the boss's boss, whether verbally or on a piece of paper taped to the bathroom mirror. I know I wasn't anything special, especially compared to people like
Ron Joy,
which we'll talk about in a different episode. But it doesn't matter, because it got to the point that I strongly believed my dad, and the funny thing is that people around me started believing it too, and always set high expectations for me.